Welcome back, everybody. Today we are testing the new Motiv Pride Liberty.
If you like what we do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Patreon.
First impressions, I thought the Pride Dynasty was my favorite in the lineup, but I think the Liberty may prove to be the Goldilocks. Alright, Motiv has a lot of balls in the lineup currently. 21 balls to choose from, in fact. Probably the most they've had in production at once. I have to assume something will go soon, but regardless, I actually feel like the Pride Liberty is a useful addition. You'll have to figure out where you want to fit it, so let's get into what it is. They say benchmark, and long story short, it does appear that way. It's got a roly, controllable, but shapely core. In the Dynasty, the cover was strong, earlier cover, but still allowed for good motion. This one clearly gets down lane a bit more easily. Even though it clears easily, it doesn't feel long or like it's going to blow through the spot. It's got a very nice kind of climbing, continuous motion down lane. It doesn't feel super sharp off the pattern, but you're confident it'll make the move. This happened to be a much more hooking house pattern than we've seen, we've been seeing. And while the Liberty felt, strong, it didn't feel too strong. All that being said, it basically describes a mid-control ball in my book. The interesting thing is it theoretically has a similar formula to the recently released Storm Ion Pro, but they're not really alike, even though they probably fit in the same category. Shows that building an arsenal relies on the relationship of balls rather than a singular piece. Ion Pro is less friction overall, so a bit of a step down. I see the Liberty as being a good step down from the Evoke, which handles a bit more volume and more control. I also seeing it fit between the Evoke and Primal Shock, which shines up and has more length. There could be a bit of overlap with the Liberty and Primal, but for my game, I'm thinking they may separate enough, especially for sport shots. As was the case with the Dynasty, Tyler's view on the Liberty is pretty similar to mine, just scaled up from a higher rev bowler. For him, it may be a touch stronger than a benchmark, but really only a smidge. While the pattern was again drier and appeared shorter than the last house shot that was put out, he didn't have to fight the ball to work. The Liberty just seemed to have a sweet, round but booming roll through the pins. Only all the way to the limits do you feel a bit of forwardness where the ball loses some steam. As you can see, Tyler can throw it from the fourth arrow and has excellent drive and carry. Overall, Tyler really liked the shape of the Liberty and has a nice opportunity to fit in the middle of the bag. Now here's Brian testing the Liberty, and this gives us a chance to see it for another style bowler. Again, the pattern is a bit shorter, maybe a little lighter than the previous house pattern test. In some ways, we wish we had a higher volume in this case to see some of the balls in this test, but we still get to see how the balls behave and then we can interpret it. Brian felt the shape was a hard arc, which usually bodes well for him. It gets reasonable length but provides a good punch, which typically helps with carry. The challenge here is that Brian did have to be a little more left to give the ball room, but at the same time, we still have that characteristic where early right is too much friction and late getting it right is out of bounds. Either way, with the Pride Liberty, small misses out led to a rollout with weak hits, so the pattern created a small window for the ball to operate. Nevertheless, Brian felt this was the most impressive Pride ball to date for his style. The bottom line, while there may be lots of balls in the Motive lineup, the Pride Liberty is a really nice mid-control option. It's on the heavier rolling side, which will make it a benchmark, especially for medium and lower rev speed matched bowlers. It may step on other balls' toes, but I guess that's up to you to decide.